Hello and welcome, this is Philip. Today I'm going to be creating a creature design and I wanted to share with you how I render it using the Photobash technique while still keeping my line art. And so we're going to be talking about some creature design and how I do it and just share my process overall. So let's see how we do this. So first one, I have like the sketch or the line art of my idea or design. I tried to isolate it by creating a silhouette just using a solid color so I can afterwards just paint over it easier after I used all the textures. And so I'm gonna apply as many textures as possible of scales and spikes of different kinds of spiky boy reptiles that's gonna help me with my spiky boy design. And so the first thing that I do is I'm adding as many textures as possible of different kinds of parts of scales for different kind of elements of my character or creature rather. And right now they're not making much sense in terms of lighting or color whatsoever, but that's okay. I'm gonna make sense of that mess later. And so right now what I want is I want as much information as possible. I want to fill it with textures so then later on when I paint over it I have enough information to work with. Alright, so what I'm thinking about usually when I'm applying textures, it's not completely randomly, because I'm also thinking about what colors and what kind of textures are gonna work for the design that I already have, because I made a line art already with certain design in mind. And so the way I think about the design is I'm thinking about how real animals work in real life. So even though this is a fantasy creature that probably belongs more into something like a video game, I'm still thinking about certain elements that work in the real world. And because we think things look good, that is relatable to real life. And so I'm looking at real life animals because they're such... obviously my design is pretty much exaggerated to make it as cool as possible for video game projects and things like that. But there's so much cool shit out there to see in the real world. I mean, the thorny devil, for example, it's a reptile filled with spikes to protect itself, and that has been a huge inspiration for this design as well. And things like crocodiles, you can't tell me that if you look at this creature that it isn't like an amazing creature, because it's literally just a dinosaur. If you look into his eyes, you can't tell me that that creature doesn't freak you out if you get too close to it. For example, look at those fangs, look at this power of this creature. It's something that belongs like amongst dinosaurs because it is one basically. So there's so many cool animals to see and to gather inspiration from, and that's how you get inspired to create something out of this world, but still you're looking at real life things at the same time. And so the way I'm thinking as well is like this, every animal has evolved itself to protect itself in one way or another. And so I'm thinking about how this creature has evolved itself to create like a spiky carapace in order to protect itself. And so you could even think about in terms of game design, like how it could curl up into a ball and attack other characters using its spikes. And so I'm thinking about what is the reason the creature looks the way it does. And so I'm applying the textures accordingly. And I'm actually basically, after everything is said and done in terms of textures, I'm just painting over it with my regular brush and I'm just making sure every shape and initial design choices that I made in my line art is coming through, instead of just having like a messy noise of textures. And that's why I paint it over, just to make sure the line art is coming through. And I'm just basically using the colors and the textures that are there as already to help me further paint over it. And so if there are any textures left over, that's okay, that's going to be part of the look. And the general goal of this is of course not to create an amazingly rendered piece, but rather to just present an idea and design. I just want the viewers to see how this creature is going to look like. And using textures is just making the process a lot faster. You already have the line art. Only thing you have to do is just paint over pretty quick over the textures and you are done. And you have this idea that you can present, and that's what it's meant to what it's meant for, right? So I generally just paint over to create the shapes that are there, and then I paint some kind of details in as well to make more sense. And generally I would say after that it's finished. So that's it, that's how I do it, that's how I work with the Photobash technique to speed up the process to present an idea. And I really hope you enjoyed watching this. I want to thank you so much for watching. That's going to be it for now, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!